Ladies, today I am sharing 5 ways to be an intentional female entrepreneur so you can show up in your business ready to make things happen and simply get things done. Now, ladies, as a female entrepreneur, especially if you are a mompreneur, it's easy to get caught up in your daily to-do list, right? That day-to-day detail of that to-do list, and you kind of lose track of the bigger picture. So it's super essential to focus your attention on the things that really matter so that you can be consistent and intentional about showing up in your business. Now, I don't want you to just stay afloat in your business and then wonder why you're not reaching your goals, right? Success, ladies, is not going to happen if you are not doing things on purpose and with intention. In business, like the other areas of your life, being intentional does mean setting goals. It means putting things on paper on purpose, right? And then going after those things. I don't want to do everything in my business. However, I do want to be really awesome on a few things, those important things in my business. And that reminds me of a quote from Stephen Covey. And that quote says, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. So here are my main things. These are the 5 tips and the 5 things that I want to share with you. Again, my main things of how I am super intentional when it comes to showing up in my business and showing up for the people that I serve, right? My clients. One, be intentional about your numbers. Now, ladies, profit is what will keep us afloat so that we can ensure we continue to show up for our clients. We ensure that we can solve problems for them, right? That's what helps us show up to serve and to do what brings us joy, the profits. Do you know how much revenue you are bringing in your business on a monthly basis? How much do you need to make every month to pay all your personal bills, your business expenses, and its associated taxes? Now, I know you may have heard of something called a freedom metric, or what is that big audacious dollar figure that you want to make every month so that you don't ever have to think about money again. Everything is paid and you can do whatever it is you want to do, that big number. I'm not talking about that, right? I am more of a realistic type of gal. So when I look at my numbers, I want to focus on what I truly need to run my household, my business, and then pay those taxes. What is that number for you? How, or better yet, what do you need to spark growth in your business? How much money do you need to spark growth in your business? What are your reserves? What are your reserves? How are you documenting and tracking the accounting and financial information when it comes to your business? How are you tracking that? By how many people do you want to grow your email list by? On a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, and on a yearly basis? What are those numbers? What is the strategy behind obtaining those numbers? And how are you going to measure success in getting those numbers? Now, one thing I want to tell you here is that when it comes to your email list, if you're a business, and I hope all those watching me have some type of business, whether it's on Facebook, on another social media platform, or wherever it is, your email list is your bread and butter. And if you don't have one, you have to start building one. Because at the end of the day, if something happens to Facebook, remember, they own your audience. They own your content. YouTube, they own your content. They own your subscribers. Something happens, what do? But your email list is super important. And if you have not started focusing on building that, why not? How many clients do you want to gain this year, this month, this quarter? What is the strategy behind gaining those clients? What are the actual numbers? How are you going to get there? And how are you going to measure success? Okay. So all of that relates to being intentional about your numbers. You need to decide what you want, how you're going to get there, and you need to decide what you don't want. Start with the end in mind, ladies. Start with the end in mind and start breaking those numbers, those goals into small, tangible, bite-sized pieces. Personally, I start with the end in mind. I start with my year, and then I backtrack to the quarter, to the month, and then to the week. Me personally, I don't backtrack to the daily numbers because it creates for me unnecessary stress. But if you like to track by the day, do that. Do what works for you. But the point here is have the end goal in mind and then backtrack quarterly, monthly, weekly. And if you want to do daily, do that. Okay. Number two, be intentional about your operations. That's the big one that I see a lot of female entrepreneurs not really focus on. Their operations. How do you handle distractions? What's your method for handling distractions? What are all, and I mean all, the tasks that you do in your business? What are all the tasks that are required to take place in your business? Who is doing those things? What are you doing on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, annual basis in your business? Are those things written out and laid out so that when you know when it's April 15th and those taxes are due, you're all ready? When it is July and something comes due, you're ready? What does that look like for you? What are all those business related tasks that you have to do in each one of those phases? Okay. And if you are not outsourcing or delegating, why are you not doing that? Okay. Ask yourself whether you are doing, or better yet, ask yourself if what you are doing is the best investment for your time, especially if you're doing everything on your own, right? If you outsource some things, how will that free you up to do the super important things that we're talking about today that you may not have in place in your business, right? What are your contingency plans? What are your contingency plans? If you get sick today, something happens, who's going to cancel that appointment for your client? Who is going to respond to a proposal that you just sent? Who's going to process that payment? Who's going to handle that coaching call or that group coaching call? What happens? Who does it? What is your contingency plan if there's an emergency? What keeps you from saying no to things? When it comes to your to-do list and you're constantly piling things on, what stops you, prevents you from saying no? Do you track the progress in your business? Now we're still on the number 2, which is being intentional with your operations. I'm throwing a lot at you and I know it's super late. That's okay. But I want you to think about these things, reflect, because you wanted to know how you can show up and be intentional. This is how you do it. You have to put in the work. You have to do the work. Okay. So, and we talked about earlier that social media platforms own your subscribers, your people, your content. So what happens if there's an attack, a cyber attack? What happens if there's some type of loss? What happens if there's some type of shift in the decision that these social media platforms make, which negatively impact your business? What do you do? What is that contingency plan, ladies? What are your business SOPs? SOPs stand for standard operating procedures. Remember we talked about in your contingency plan, if something happens to you, who does the next thing for you? Do you have anything written down so that person can follow? They can read it and they know exactly what to do, because remember, you're not available at the moment. You're sick, God forbid. You're in the hospital, God forbid. You got an accident, God forbids, right? Life happens. But when these clients pay money for you to service them, Although they're going to be empathetic and sympathetic about your situation, at the end of the day, ladies, they want what they paid for. How do you ensure that happens? Or how do you ensure you communicate properly to your clients in the event that something bad happens? SOPs, documented processes. Do you have them? Okay. If you suddenly get 5 clients today, woohoo, yay, right? You got 5 clients or you got 5 requests for proposals this week. What do you do in your business? How do you ensure that everyone gets what they need within 48 to 72 hours? Do you even have a timeline in terms of when you turn things over or turn things around for those that have reached out to you? You got 5 clients, 5 proposals. How do you make sure they get everything they need in 72 hours, especially if it's just you? What happens if you have a 9-to-5 job? You have a family to take care of. You have a list of client calls back to back that you have. How do you make those things happen? Right? What are your strategic quarterly objectives? Your strategic quarterly objectives. Do you have strategic quarterly objectives? You may have goals, right? But you have to have strategic objectives, and your goals are what help you meet those strategic objectives. Do you have them? What are they? How are they aligned to your monthly goals? If I ask you for a document right now that tells me what the rest of 2021 is going to look like for your business, can you give that to me? If we have a call today, okay, if we have a clarity call or a strategy call, I'm going to ask you about your strategic goals or your strategic objectives. Can you lay out and show me where you've planned out the entire year? And when I say plan out the entire year, crap happens, right? Things happen. That's okay. But how does it look? Have you forecasted, right? What does every month look like in terms of what you hope to do within your business? Do you have that? If you don't, why? Know where you want to go in the next few months and also in the next few years when it comes to your business, right? You may not have a full-blown, hashed out business plan. That's okay. But you have to have a map, a blueprint, right? What are you going to do to stretch yourself in terms of your knowledge, skills, and leadership? That's also a part of your operations, ladies. Operations is just not running your business, the things you do to keep your business afloat, but it's also about personal leadership. What are you doing to ensure that your skill sets and your knowledge is up to date? What are you doing to make sure you invest in your knowledge and your skill sets so you know how to do some of these things? Because it's one of two things. Either you're going to learn how to do it yourself and then find the time to do it, or you're going to know that you need to do it and then pay someone else to help you do it or do it for you outright. Regardless of how you go, you got to get it done. That's how we're intentional when it comes to our business. Okay. So one thing I also want to let you know is that when it comes to being intentional in your business, you want to stand out by going above and beyond. Okay. Because for me, ladies, excellence is a minimum standard. Okay. Excellence should be a minimum standard for you when it comes to your business, when it comes to showing up for your clients, and when it comes to providing whatever service that you said you're going to provide to them. Excellence should be a minimum. The little things matter. The details matter. Okay. In your business.